Hello and welcome to Daily Politics, reaching you from Trust TV here in Abuja. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. I am Suleiman Suleiman. In a developing democracy like Nigeria's, when the ruling party sneezes, the whole country catches cold. The APC has been sneezing almost uncontrollably for weeks, if not months. As we speak, the head of the party's caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, CECPC, as the party faithfuls call it, has changed. Or has it really changed? Governor of Yobe State, Mai Mala Buni, who until earlier this week was head of the caretaker committee, is said to have been removed by an order of the president. This was shortly before the president left for a medical trip in London. He was promptly replaced by another member of the CECPC and governor of Niger State, Abubakar Sani Bello, who told reporters that he is on the roll on acting capacity until the party's convention slated for March 26 later this month. Bello has presided over certain activities of the party, including swearing in new state escorts and release of a zoning formula for the party's National Working Committee offices. But some party functionaries continue to maintain that Buni is only on a trip to Dubai and will resume his position on return. In fact, a letter on that has been circulating in the media, including social media, since morning. This is after the governor of Kaduna State and a leading voice in the party, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, has made it clear there is no way back for Buni as caretaker committee chair. Meanwhile, many other issues like the mode of the convention itself, the distribution of NWC offices, the implications of the Electoral Act 2022, and the mode of presidential primaries, all of these issues have not yet been resolved in the ruling party. So tonight we ask, what is really going on in the party? Is the APC itself leaderless, or is it not? And as 2023 elections draw nearer, is the APC heading towards another 4 years in power or another 4 years in opposition? With me to discuss all of these issues are two members of the APC who know it all. Senator Kabir Garba Marafa is a founding member of the APC who represented Zamfara State Central Senatorial District between 2011 and 2019. Also with me is Honorable Hamad Sajo, a chieftain of the APC and former Commissioner of Information in Adamawa State. You're most welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Thank you. But before we go on, we'll take just a moment of a break, and then when we return, we'll jump right into it. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and we're talking about issues around the APC, that is the ruling party, as we move towards the 2023 general elections. And with me are two insiders who, like I said, know all of it. So, Senator, let me start with you. Like I said, I usually start on the right and then end on the left. You know. Okay, so, thank you. So, one of the first observations, anyone who has been following APC politics in the country in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years of the APC in existence will make is that in 2014, you had a smooth convention, which earned the confidence of many Nigerians at that time. It was the first time an opposition party will make such a profound statement on the political system, you know. But now, 6, 10, 12 years later in power, 8 years later in power, you're finding it difficult to organize your own convention. What has changed between 2014 and today?
Well, thank you, so much first for the invitation and finding us worthy of discussion, discussing this very important topic.
Thank you.
But let me make a small, maybe correction from your introduction that as people that knows it all, I know my brother and friend here maybe knows everything, looking at his background and from the little we have discussed here, but I don't think I know even a quarter of what is happening in Nigeria, but I know my own
in the
bit
APC,
of it, yes, in the APC.
Okay.
Now, coming back to the issue under discussion, I think basically what happened is there is a shift, you know, from true leaders, people that care for the generality of Nigerians, you know, that we are around, saw things going out of hand at that time, looking at the problems Nigeria was going through, the bombs everywhere, the Boko Haram issues, the Northeast. There was very little of this banditry then, what I refer to in my Senate days as the Noma and Kio Haram, you know, in the Northwest. But there was problem of OPC in the Southwest. There was the militancy in the South, and so on and so forth. So Nigeria was really like in a mess at that time. And leaders then came together and said, how do we rescue the situation? How do we solve the problem? So, and that is how APC, you know, started from the formative stage. And a grand coalition, you know, was organized kind of and midwifed, you know, by people that are responsible, that see beyond their noses, that care for the generality of people and not themselves. Now, when you take that situation, that is what is responsible, or that is what was responsible that time for having a smooth convention, like you said, and to the admiration of everybody. You know, within 1 year, I think, of the formation of APC, I remember when we were even battling, I was in the Senate that time, when some people were saying that APC belonged to them and everything, and we were saying, no, we are the owners of APC. It was our intellectual property and everything. And within a short period of time, APC was able, you know, to capture power at the center and in many states of the federation. Now, midway up the ladder, you know, problem came and so on and so forth. And the president, as the leader of the party, even though it is just a convention, because a lot of people always used to say leadership of the party is vested on the president or the governor constitutionally, which is not true. It's not correct. I think it's a convention. Now, he rose to the occasion to say that, look, okay, our party is in a mess. The national chairman then, Chief Adams Oshomole, you know, found himself messed up in local politics, you know, from his own state. And issues snowballed, you know, into very serious problem when he was sacked or dismissed or whatever from his own ward. And for you to be a member of the party, you know, you have to be the national chairman of the party. You have to be a member, you know, from the grassroots. Now, even though there are a lot of problems there which are not for this discussion. Now, there was leadership vacuum because the constitution of the APC says we have a national chairman. And in the absence of the national chairman, now the deputy national chairman from his zone, because these positions are not like the elective positions. You know, they are zoned. So when they say, like what we have now, they say the chairmanship is zoned to the North Central. So the party always tries to maintain that position in the North, no matter what happens. So in the absence of the national chairman, either by death, resignation, or anything, then the deputy national chairman from his zone will take over so that that balance, you know, is maintained. So now, if you recall, the deputy national chairman from South, who was supposed to take over from Oshomole, having come from the South, you know, was appointed a minister. That is, I think, Niyi Adebayo.
Yes.
So now the position was vacant. Now, the Southwest nominated Chief Ajimobi of blessed memory, you know, and in the distant Ajimobi, you know, was caught up with the COVID-19 issues and he died. So now there was power tussle. And some people, so many people came up to say that we are the acting national chairman, the deputy national chairman from the north, then the national secretary and everything. Now, Mr. President rose to the occasion to say that, look, let us rescue our party. Now, a meeting was summoned in the villa, and in the maybe wisdom of the people that were with the president. Now that is how CECPC or whatever name, you know, emerged. And like I said in my previous interactive sessions with media, now the intention was very, very good. Now the president, I don't know, I was not part of that decision, but looking at the composition, you know that there is good intention behind the formation of the CECPC. Because all the members, you know, they have offices. They are not idle members that maybe are looking for employment or anything. Memala himself was a governor.
So the job was a part-time job right from the beginning?
It's supposed to, it's
or
a part-time, not even part-time. If there is something smaller than part-time, yes, you know, it is supposed to be so. So it is not something that you would sit tight and do. But what happened? Immediately, this small mind, you know, came on board.
Because that's the question that I was going to ask Marlon Sergio. That the senator said something very critical, that the first convention was because you had people who were responsible, people who saw beyond their own immediate noses, you know, as he put it. Is that what has changed? Is it the personnel or the rules or what?
I think we are being simplistic about this whole thing.
Okay.
First and foremost, by 2014, in all fairness to the mood of the country, people were tired of what we saw as misgovernance, quote and unquote, of PDP. And there was this groundswell movement to get rid of the PDP. And it went down, right down to the streets. People felt that there was a need to bring about change. And the APC came with the name change. And so that fell into the mood and the perception of the people. But there are four things, you know, looking at it very intellectually and very dispassionately, there are four things, you know, if we do not address those four things, we will never get it right.
Okay.
And with due respect...
In the party or in the political system?
In our political system as a whole. Okay. Party or no party, all the political system. Okay. With due respect to my brother here, who is an active politician who had participated, these four issues are very germane to what we're discussing. First, we have tended to develop very powerful individuals.
Okay.
We have arrogated too much powers to individuals at the expense of the system.
Okay.
That creates, you know, abuse. Two, we have weakened all our institutions, including the political parties as institutions. They are weak. To say the president is the leader of the party, to say the governor is to whittle the powers of the institution. The institution gave birth to the president, gave birth to the
party itself.
How can I wake up one and say I am the leader of my father? You know, so that again, you know, is our mentality. Powerful individuals pretending over very weak institutions.
Okay.
You get this? The third problem is that I saw him come with the Constitution. Most of our laws, the Constitution of the Federal Republic, of the parties, of the we operate them more in breach than in compliance.
You have the rules, but people don't follow them.
Exactly, than in compliance. And then the fourth one, very dangerous, is our transactional politics. Politics is an entrepreneurship, you know, and that is why when you talk politics, the first thing that comes to the minds of people is money. How much money? And in the process, you know, going forward, we've created so much crisis within the system. All it needs is a little trigger, you know, for crisis to erupt.
But all of these things have been there in other parties. For example, they were there in the 16 years of the PDP, and PDP, they were still having conventions, and they have been there in the last 7, 8 years of the APC, and there is no reason why, because organizing a convention, Senator, is not something like climbing a mountain or...
Let us understand one thing very clear.
Okay.
When the caretaker committee was set up, a caretaker committee, by my own understanding, I may be wrong, they are the party people, I may be wrong, but a caretaker committee is supposed to be a surgical instrument. Short, sharp, and straight to the point. And so when they gave them 6 months, within those 6 months, if they had acted in compliance with the terms of reference given to them at the ab initio for the 6 months, we wouldn't be in this crisis.
Distinguished Senator, if they didn't act in compliance with the terms of reference given to them, as the Honorable Commissioner is suggesting, aren't there other people within the party, other centers of power within the party, the Governors, Progressive Governors Forum, the Office of the President himself, the principal officers of the National Assembly, who are all within the same party? Aren't there other centers to draw the attention of the CECPC to order?
Well, let me first begin by saying, you see, even the name CECPC and the way it turned out to be, constitute part of the problem. Because CECPC, whatever it is called, I don't know where the extraordinary, I'm not a linguist, I'm an engineer by training.
Yes.
So the most important thing about the name is Convention Planning Committee.
Absolutely.
So forget about all the other things that are there. Because the issue is, now, this is just a convention planning committee, because nobody has the right, like he said, no matter how much you want to build maybe very strong individuals, nobody has the right, to constitute a caretaker, because the party is run, by the dictates of the Constitution and not by anybody's whims and caprices, whatever, nothing.
Whether they are governors or presidents.
Whoever. Nobody has the power, because, like I said, Section 20 of the Constitution of APC, 1A, is very, very clear. Section 223 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is very clear. None of the two envisage a situation where a political party will be administered by appointed people, only elected. So nobody can appoint, what do you call it, a caretaker committee. So the mandate given to these people was go out there, reconcile members, and conduct convention.
That
is all.
So that you have a new leadership of the
new
party
leadership that can take
elected,
over, from to clear the mess that was inherited. But upon resumption, they turn themselves into National Working Committee, and they just hide under some very flimsy excuses within the Constitution. I think Section 12, if I'm not mistaken, maybe, that says the NEC can create and put any committee, of the so desire. But National Working Committee is a creation of the Constitution. So no other, is not like any other ad
it's not
hoc
superior to the
committee.
Constitution.
Nobody can create, because the members of National Working Committee are elected people. So even if you say, yes, okay, it's a committee, okay, it is a committee, quite all right. But who are the members? The Constitution spells out the members, who the members are. Unlike other committees that say you can create a committee. So you can create a committee and say, Suleiman, you are the chairman. Or in National Working Committee, the national chairman of the party is the chairman. Where can you get national chairman? You can only elect a national chairman. So now, upon coming in, now the problem is they come with diseased mind. So that is the difference between 2015 and 2019 or whatever.
2020
so now they came in with another mindset that this is an opportunity for us now to perpetuate ourselves in power, now bring the people we desire or we like, our friends, to power, make money, like our friend said, because look, yes, make money, because this is that is what he said. He called transactional politics, which is very, very true. Now, when you look at Sahara reporters once exposed the Code of Conduct Bureau form of the former leader of the CECPC,
Yes.
the governor of Yobe State.
Yes.
He declared billions and billions of naira, multiple houses, filling stations, farms, and billions. Now, the question is, where did he make the money from? In 2014, when he was appointed National Secretary, he was SA, Special Assistant to a Governor. And I challenge anybody from the region I come from, the North. No SA in the North can boast of maybe 95% of them doesn't have 5 million naira. SA to a governor in a state, 5 billion. Now, that is where...
What we know about that mostly is people on salaries, you know.
Good.
Yes.
So, but 4 years after becoming National Secretary, then to a governor, you are declaring billions in your forms. And they are in Muhammadu Buhari's government, whose policy, trust, and everything is integrity, rule of law, and everything. So this man knows what is in there in the party, what is accrued to the members of the party. I don't know, you know, during, what do you call it, primary elections.
Yes.
So ab initio, they were eyeing the primary elections. Now, we would not hand over this an opportunity. We grab the power. Now, we now enter a room and sit down and say, look, gentlemen, this is our time. We are lucky. They have appointed us. So whatever we are going to do, we must do, you know, to retain this position until 2019. We would not relinquish it until after primary elections, so that we can get ourselves, you know, good positions. Take like one of the Senate representative in the committee. Now, there's a lot of problems in his home state, Taraba State, and the first thing he did was to make sure that he hijacked the party machinery, you know, to himself. And what happened now? A court sitting, a federal high court ruling, you know, quashed the, what do you call it, his own ESCO, state ESCO. So this is what they did in all over the country. So they abandoned their primary responsibility, the terms of reference and everything, and went into, what do you call it, their own agenda. Now, forgetting, they now said, they sit down, then I will now come back to one of his points. Creating big, what did he call it? Personalities, you know, against weak
institutions.
Now, you now simply sit down at the expiration of 6 months, you walk into the villa, you meet with the president, you come out, you tell the president that the president has extended our stay. But can the president extend your stay?
But even isn't that part of the problem? If somebody goes into the office, because as you explained earlier, the emergence of that also, the CECPC was also as a result of the president rising to the occasion of the vacuum created by the court removal of Oshomole, as you said. Now, if someone goes into the presidency and comes out and tells the press that his tenure has been extended, and there is no response from the presidency to either for or against that, should that person be blamed, or is it the force of the presidency as well?
No, I think I told you.
Yes.
We operate all our laws in breach.
Okay.
If who set up the CECPC? It was the NEC, the National Executive Council. So no individual, be he the president, could, you know, by law, extend their tenure by 1 day. Let's be honest.
Except by a meeting of the NEC.
Except by a meeting of the NEC. Okay. But the NEC did not meet again. Then the party's leadership at the state level were dissolved. They transmuted to caretaker. So even the legality of their position within the NEC was also in question. So the whole system became, you know, a basket case. And then in the process of moving
how does this new head of the CECP, the Governor Bello-led, how does that change anything?
No, what is happening is that, you know, he has taken some of the, in fairness to him, he took some of the right steps. Okay. For example, the former leadership invited the chairmen who were elected. There were congresses in the state, they were elected. They came and gave them their certificate and refused to swear them in.
That so that
means
there can be no
they were not empowered. Now, luckily he had sworn them in, so they are not, their legitimacy, quote and unquote, could be complete now.
Okay.
He has called for a NEC. The NEC will take certain decisions, and I pray that one of the decisions is to go ahead with the convention. Because going forward, I tell you, there is a potent danger. No argument about it. There's a potent danger that if this caretaker handles the nomination process that some of them wanted to handle, there's a potent danger that the entire nomination process could be questioned. And if the nomination process are done within the context of the transactional politics that I am complaining about, that people come and pay homage and drop some largesse, and that becomes the reason d'etre for them to assume the positions. And what happened in Anambra will repeat itself in the 36 states.
Interesting. So
very simple.
If that is the case, as we move towards the the convention in just about 2 weeks, or literally 16, 17 days now, how is this new ESCO that you now, or the leadership of the governor of Niger State, rather than that of how does that change anything? Particularly since looks like there is still a tussle between Malabuni, who is not there, and Sani Bello, who is there right now. If he comes back, are we going to see a court case? Are we going to see, expert injunctions, or what's likely to happen?
Interestingly, I think, you see, they said every advantage has its own disadvantage. So having weaklings, pretending over powerful institutions, has its advantages and disadvantages. So in this case, the kind of characters we have as the leaders of that cannot challenge anybody, because they know they are not there because of any competence, any pedigree. They are not coming from anywhere.
You mean even the
chairman himself? When you look at the chairman, you look at the secretary, what he was saying. I was asked yesterday, I said, I wonder where this man got his PhD from. So, when somebody starts telling you, somebody that calls himself a national secretary, somebody that was a senator before, and is now telling you that he is not bigger than the president. If the president asked him to resign, he would resign. That is what you're saying. Now, are you there?
You mean Senator James?
Somebody not that long name man. I don't know.
Yes.
Now, when you look at the man yesterday talking about his resignation and everything, his face, his comment doesn't even inspire confidence. It's a national disaster when you look at that and say this is the national secretary of ruling party. So this is just what I'm trying to say. Now, coming back to maybe your point, I think what we need to look at, like I was trying to make a point yesterday on Arise Distin. Now, I look the whole of this scenario now as as a divine intervention from God, that wants to save the name of President Muhammadu Buhari, who stands tall, to always say that he is there on integrity and everything, because he was clearly on they were clearly, on the super highway of messing of his name. Yes, rubbishing all he has achieved, because I can assure you, if this CECPC continues, APC is dead, because CECPC, or whatever it is called, is illegal. It cannot stand anywhere. It cannot conduct anything. Whatever it does is a nullity. So it's just a question of when all these various cases in the states and local governments and everything, one of them would see the light of the day. One day it will come to Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will wield the big stick, and that will be the end. It would be a national tsunami. What we saw in Zamfara is going to be a child's play when compared to this. So God, in his infinite mercy, now brought about these problems. And interestingly, this, what do you call it? That is why it is always good to be surrounded by intelligent people. Man Nasser El-Rufai has done, wonders the second time. If you remember, Mr. President contested the presidency of this country 3 times. At a point, he said, this is the last time I would never do it.
Yes.
The president, by his own admission, now said that Malan Nasiru El-Rufai, convinced him to come back and contest 2019, to the amazement of so many people saying that, you said you are not coming back. And that time, he made it. Now, Malan Nasiru El-Rufai is one of the architects, senior engineer that built this solid foundation called the APC. Okay. But as soon as the government comes in, they were sidetracked and everything. And he has his job. He went back to his state and go and see the wonders he has done in Kaduna, So now, when the national emergency now also comes in, now the likes of Man Nasser El-Rufai came back and they look at these things and they went and make a representation to the president. And thank God, the president trusts them. He knows that Man Nasser El-Rufai knows what he is doing. So when they told him, I don't know he and whoever went because I am not privy or some part of it, now he saw it. Now APC is on the process of reinventing itself. Okay. So all they need to do now is this name, CECPC, it should be abolished, condemned, thrown to the dustbin, totally. Okay. Because it's unconstitutional. It doesn't have any basis. And once you have that name, people will go to court to say that NEC doesn't have power to make them, and whatever action they take is null and void, and now you will build primaries on top of it. No, the national ESCO on top. Primaries coming up. Then once you remove the foundation, everything will collapse.
But so I think maybe we have 1 minute of break, but go on.
Okay. NEC has power to create any committee. Okay. So they can create a convention committee. So they should create a convention committee now. I hope they are listening to me and they will implement it tomorrow.
In other words, you don't want this continuing CSC to be
the moment it continues
over the convention.
It will
That's
amount
an
to
interesting dimension that when we return, we're going to be looking at. Thank you, viewers, for staying with us. This is getting very, very interesting, and we hope that you stay with us when we return in just 10 seconds. Stay with us, please. Hello and welcome, welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and we are discussing the issues around the APC, that is Nigeria's ruling party, as we march on towards the uncertainty of 2023 elections. And with me, Senator Kabiru Garba Marafa, who represents one of the leaders of the APC in Zamfara State, and also Honorable former Commissioner of Information in Adamawa State, who is also a chieftain of the APC in Adamawa State. So as we continue, the senator took a very interesting dimension, because most people are thinking that, okay, with Buni and his out, everything is fine. All that matters is for the Governor Sani Bello to pretend over the coming convention on March 26, and then all will be fine. But he disagrees entirely with that. What do you think?
No, I think since they've called for a National Executive Council on the 17th, And the chairman, the state chairmen that were elected have been duly sworn in, and they've been given their legitimacy. I foresee, and then they are compiling the list of convention subcommittees,
Okay.
which starts with the convention committee itself, which is themselves. The NEC is going to approve them as the convention committee proper. I think we may get around that quagmire. And there's something Senator Marafa said that is very interesting.
Okay.
You see, you can't beat knowledge. Whatever you do, you can't beat knowledge. All the shenanigans that were going on within the committee were deconstructed very easily by knowledgeable people like Malam El-Rufai. You may not like him, you may like him, but you know, the guy is highly knowledgeable. What did he do? One of the thorny issues was the zoning. And they were busy arguing over zoning. Malam Nasir El-Rufai just came and said, look, Mr. President, we will do horizontal swap and vertical swap. And the president was like, what? There were all these arguments as to what goes to where. The guys, no, we have first horizontal swap. All positions that are in the north should go to the south. The ones in the south go to the north. That is that. Then Malam said, okay, we need also a horizontal swap. All positions that were in the east go to the west. All positions that were in the west go to the east. And he simplified the process to the extent that the president saw wisdom
In that.
in that.
And that's the zoning formula now adopted by the party?
Exactly.
Okay.
So you see, now that the party has decided to bring back people of knowledge and begin to be knowledge-driven, I am sure all these issues, even the ones Senator Kabiru Marafa raised, I tell you, they will find a way around them. One of the most unfortunate things that happened, that I wonder how it happened and why it should have happened in the first instance, was that in November 2021, there was a court injunction stopping the convention. That court injunction paper was delivered to the party with a proviso that there will be a sitting in January to hear the matter.
I was going to come to that.
And vacate it or it subsists. Unfortunately, the party that was sued did not make an attempt to make a counterclaim. They kept that paper. Whoever kept that paper did not want the convention to hold.
Is that a criminal act?
I am not a lawyer.
Okay.
I am not a legal expert.
Okay.
But what I am saying is that to a large extent, from the face of it, from the facts that are available, these are the series of actions and activities that could further erode the legality and the legitimacy of whatever is eventually built on this very faulty foundation.
Thank you.
And like Senator Marafa said, we must be mindful of the fact that we are handing over a legacy of a president whom we all agree is a man of impeccable integrity. And his integrity would have been rubbished if at the end of the day, you know, the party that brought him to power collapses under his watch.
Thank you very much. Senator, let's move beyond, and Commissioner, let's move beyond these issues now. Let's look at other issues around the 2023. For example, the Electoral Act, Section 84. How is it going to take? Because the PDP, they are not much worried about that act. They're not much worried about that act because they don't have power at the center. So they don't have 40 ministers, they don't have MDAs and so on and so forth, some of whom might have ambition. But the APC does. So there are many people who are ministers today who would like to see themselves as governors or who would like to see themselves as senators or even presidents and so on. How does that affect them, particularly now that the Senate is saying that, I mean, there is an injunction, a court saying that the Senate cannot even look at the same constitution that they themselves made again. I mean, the same law that they themselves enacted in the first place.
Well, I don't know, in the wisdom of the presenter, he wanted us to bury what I would term maybe more important issues, but to me as a APC man, and going into maybe a more national issue. You see, many times when I watch the president, because I know the president fairly well, he has given me, or he gave me, you know, a lot of what is the correct word? You know, I was very close to him, and he condoned a lot of me, my attitudes, my, you know, the way I talk, and I put questions to him there, and I know him fairly well, and I respect him, and I will forever live to respect him for that. So when he speaks, sometimes I pity the old man, because he was kind of, I'm very sorry, hijacked by some people whose intention is just selfish all the time. When he signed the Electoral Act and he made a case, you know, for that section, 84. Is it 84? Good. What I saw, when he spoke, I laughed. I say, I'd wonder the kind of people that advise this fine gentleman, this old man. Because telling the National Assembly to go and remove that amounts to like telling the National Assembly, look, this is a knife, go back to the chamber and stab yourself to death. That is what it means. To death. Yes. They are real politicians in the chambers, the two chambers, you see.
Yes.
Those are the representatives of the people. Always competing against, with due respect, some, the word some must be, some opportunists that got appointments, you know, into public offices and so on and so forth. Now, you are telling me now to allow a minister to come and contest primaries with me, you know, as a minister. He will take government funds to come and fight me. He will take government security paraphernalia, come to the venue, chase everybody, cordon the area, and say, and declare the result that he won. And that is what you want me to do, Mr. President. Will I do it? It's impossible. So what the National Assembly did on this Electoral Act is the most responsible. This is, apart from the judgment that one judge gave day before yesterday, you know, on the decampment of this Umahi, of governor of whatever. Yes, I think these are the indicators or the indices that we are growing our democracy. So honestly speaking, when he said that, I laughed. I said, okay, I live to see how National Assembly are going to do this. And there are two things. One, I know they cannot go and delete any section, because that is not the process of making laws. They can't. Once it is signed, it is now a law, and it stands on itself. So, but National Assembly has power to amend any law. So it can come back for amendment. So it will go through the whole process. It can be speed up, you know, and it will be done. Then it will go back to the president for signing again.
For assent.
Yes, for assent. That is the only way that it can be done. But
there is only between now and June 3,
they
when the primaries must be completed. Is it possible to do that between now and that time?
Is it possible now you give me a dagger and you ask me, go and stab yourself, and because I respect you, or because then I go out here, stab myself, and maybe somebody will even carry my corpse and come and dump at your distance. It is not possible. These are some of the things they give the president, and when the president reads it, and if you know the man, you just cry. It's just like one day he was reading a speech, I think during COVID-19, and the president read that, I don't know who incited that thing, that school feeding, primary school feeding. I have never had, this is one of the highest irresponsible programs I have ever seen in my life. Even during colonial days, there was no feeding in primary school or secondary schools. Everybody knows in Nigeria that those things doesn't even happen. Nobody is feeding anybody. So it's only money shared. And when COVID came and the schools have to close, somebody inserted in the speech of Mr. President that school feeding program is going to continue.
Even
during holidays. So these are some of the things, you know, a good man being surrounded by people that, I don't know how it comes into. So this is one of it. So the Electoral Act as it is, I believe from the day he signed it, I know it is going to stand like that. And but you know, anything that is not done is in the hands of God. So you never can say. So I think what the National Assembly did is the most responsible thing. That is how it is supposed to be. Now, anybody that is, you can't eat your cake and have it for God's sake.
But
if you are desirous of contesting any elective post, resign your position, enter the ring, fight, and but look at how my friend, the governor of Ekiti, you know, Fayemi, when he contested. He contested as a minister, did everything, won his election, and he just resigned after he was governor-elect.
Before he resigned. So, Honorable, this is the issue. If you are Rotimi Amechina or Chris Ngige, or Fashola, or yet Bakar Malami, and you want to be governor of Kebbi State, or you know you want to be president or vice president and so on, all of this, or want to be senator, are you going to just sit and then see that, okay, isn't there anything that you can do or you and your colleagues can do
to
pressurize the system?
Let me clarify something.
Yes.
When you see, Nigerians like escape routes. We're not looking at Malami, Amechi, and the rest. But that law says any political appointee. I don't know if the distinguished senator would tell me that his legislative aide when he was a senator, was he a political appointee or he was not? So the dragnet is wide.
Okay.
It's when implementation comes to be. A lot of
it goes beyond ministers and commissioners.
A lot of them, the legislators, they train their successors during their period as legislative aides.
That's a global practice.
Many of the people that go back to the Houses of Assembly and
have
worked as SLA. So now that provision is a sword of Damocles on so many people. But we're looking at the big fish. There are smaller fish down there. My quarrel with that section is just one. Yes, they cannot be voted during nomination processes at conventions or congresses.
But it says that they also cannot
vote is the one
be delegates
that I am questioning, because when I was a commissioner, I was also elected as a delegate.
Yes.
I went and participated as a delegate.
Maybe for the interjection, I think I can help you out there. Yes, the problem there is also, you know, you see, you have already, I think, envisaged almost everything from your first statement when you brought out the four, what do you call it? You call them. Yeah, so we are inherently, with due respect to all of us, we are inherently not, I think, very straightforward people or very honest people.
Yeah.
So the laws, you know, are always honest, and they are, you know, pass, you know, to make things
with the best of intentions.
Intentions, thank you. But we are always looking at how to manipulate them, you know, to suit something under this. So when you allow appointees, you know, to vote, now a governor would sit somewhere in his state because there is nobody to checkmate him. The state assemblies are more or less like rubber stamps, you know. Yes. When you look at what happened, especially in Zamfara, there is Zamfara state in one day or something that somebody wrote, you know, a whole lot of processes, you know, done in one day. Thank you.
From the nomination, from the removal of one government.
Somebody will sit down and appoint, he would calculate the whole delegates. And maybe the whole delegates in the election maybe 500. So he will appoint 2,500 political appointees and say they all have votes. So they will come and neutralize the 500, and when he gets them, he can do away with all of you.
No, I don't think that is the spirit of the law.
Okay.
I think,
but as the spirit of the law always been the problem.
That is you said you have problem.
Is it the spirit of the law that is always the problem, or the practice
of the spirit of the law?
Okay.
You know, if I am a political appointee, and I want to contest as a delegate for a congress or a convention, so that I can go and participate in the nomination process as an elect. To be a delegate, you must be elected anyway. You cannot be a delegate, just statutory delegates are statutory delegates, known. But non-statutory delegates, political appointees, presently in our constitution, it says they can only be observers.
Okay.
That's what the constitution says.
Okay.
They can be admitted into the Congress or convention as observers. They don't have delegate status. But if you want to have delegate status, drop your
appointment.
Headache as a appointee. Go and contest. Go and join the queue. Contest to become a delegate. I did that.
Okay.
When I was commissioner. I didn't go as commissioner. I went as Ahmad Sajo, and I wanted to be a delegate, and I was elected, at the Congress as a delegate. But again, like he said, if Malami goes, for example, as Attorney General, with all the paraphernalia of the Attorney General, even Senator Marafa cannot compete with him. Let's be
Maybe the governor of the state.
let's be honest.
Who am I? Small me.
So you understand, this intimidating power that they will come with is what the Constitution tries to divest them of. But again, let's look at it very critically.
But would it not be to the advantage of even members of the House of...
Let me tell you, ordinary citizens who have money in this country, they carry all this.
But would it not advantage if the law will help to level the playing field? What about
that's what the spirit
what
of
about,
this
for
law.
example, say you are in the National Assembly,
Yeah.
and you don't need, as a senator, or member House of Reps, you don't need to resign.
Yes.
But your challenger is maybe a teacher in the local primary school, or somebody who is lecturing in Kauranamoda Polytechnic, for example.
Let's be honest.
Isn't that unfair to that person as
a
well?
senator, a rep, a House of Assembly, a governor, a president has a definite tenure.
Okay.
A commissioner, a minister, a special advisor don't have a definite tenure. They are at the discretion of the person that appoints them. So why? And unfortunately, because ministers and commissioners are heads of government department, the resources at their disposal, not financial only this time around, all the resources at their disposal are so enormous that a senator does not have 1/10 of it. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Interesting.
If a minister comes out, he has a whole government department with directors, deputy directors, with staff. He appoints SAs and things. He can go and intimidate any gathering.
Thank you very much. I think the control room have been telling me time up.
Really?
Yes. So, but maybe one final question, distinguished, before we go. You mentioned earlier that law that was passed in Ebonyi State is actually good for democracy. That makes APC to be one governor less. How is it good for your party?
You see, like I told somebody, you see, the best way to grow any system is when people learn to speak the truth regardless of whose ox is God. Yes, I'm an APC member. But that does not mean that whatever APC does is right. Okay? And in these evil circumstances, what APC under Buni and the secretary did is more injurious to APC itself. I have never seen set of executives that even attempted half of what they did. Because this is a party that won election freely and fairly, squarely. Okay? All you need to do when you win election is you try to maintain everything. So now they went on bringing governors into their distance. And what happened? They are bringing people, to suppress the people that helped them win election, last time. So in the end, what will happen is they lose both. You find out that the governors that come in cannot win the election under the APC platform, and they are now empowering, So, and look, whatever happens for us to
more
grow
minutes.
this democracy, you see, you cannot, under any circumstance, you win election on a particular platform. Then just tomorrow you dump that platform. Where is manifesto? We are just making jest of ourselves. When people, advanced democracies, look at us, they will say, what type of democracy are these people? Now, are you just coming to how did they vote APC or PDP? You must have told the people that as APC, because it is not me that is being voted, it is APC. So what did APC told people? Change. Now, people voted change. Then you took the change and bring it back to square one. Now, what have you done? So please, you cannot, and times without number. We say it is party. The Constitution says nobody can stand for election unless it's being sponsored by a political party. It is the party that garners the votes. How can you take what belongs to me and give it to Mr. Sajo? You cannot. So I think what the court did, that man deserves to be awarded with the second
Nobel
best
Peace
national
Prize.
offer.
Okay.
Yes, GCON. Yes.
That's all right.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a good point to stop. I hope that it's an interesting day.
I think the end of it is that the distinguished must know that we don't have political
I have to
parties.
cut the yes. We don't have time.
political parties. What we have are special purpose vehicles.
But we will have another day to discuss all of that. Thank you very much, Senator Marafa, for coming on the show. You are quite an animated and interesting speaker. Thank you also, our regular visitor and analyst, also for giving us your in-depth insights on issues and politics.
We're grateful.
Thank you. And thank you, viewer, for whom we come here every day and try to bring you not just the interesting guests, but also the interesting issues in politics, policy, and governance. We hope that you join us tomorrow again when we bring you another edition of Daily Politics on Trust TV. I am Suleiman Suleiman. Good night.